So after a couple of days off from running, this morning I went back out, ran again at the track, and it was rather miserable. A couple of reasons. For one, I waited way too long. I should have got up when I set my alarm and made sure to get up and go run earlier because it was super humid and hot by the time I made it out there. That's something I think I'll talk about in this series a little bit more because I think it's really important to not hit the snooze button, which I've been really bad at lately. Don't know entirely why, but I just seem to keep hitting snooze, which sucks. I haven't done that a lot lately, but before that, it had been, over a year where I never hit snooze. I'd always get up, and I've been needing the sleep, which is an important sign to take note of, but I do not want to keep missing out on those earlier morning runs when I can avoid it because it's so much harder once the humidity and the heat picks up later on. The other thing that made the run challenging this morning was leg training yesterday. Made it so that it was my legs were just tired, not really fully up to it, and that was a challenge. So it still felt good. It felt like a good accomplishment to get out and do the run. My pace was pretty slow, and that kind of makes me nervous about how I'm going to manage to do this 6-minute mile in like 10 days or so. Not sure about that, but we're still going to keep pushing forward and try for it, and then see what happens as I keep working on kind of covering those different bases. Today I did more 1 mile and 800-meter intervals and tried to go for longer durations for endurance training purposes. For the most part, nasal breathing, but the issue was it was so hot that my heart rate was getting up regardless of what I did and the pace. So it didn't work out exactly. I tried to pick up the pace a little bit more towards the end just to make it feel a little more challenging. But still moving forward with the challenge to try to run the 6-minute mile this summer and doing all I can, continuing to work on it. And so in future videos with this, I'm sure there are people that are interested in trying to do this or similar goals for themselves. So I want to talk a little bit more about goal setting, what got me into approaching this goal in particular and how I kind of structured it, as well as some of those tips more for like the early morning training. Kind of tackle what I was talking about with not hitting the snooze button and how you can do that for yourself regardless of what goal you're trying to work on in the mornings, and then whatever else I figure out with running, definitely going to share as I go along on this journey. Now, just before I end for the day, I'm going to finish up with a bit of a cold plunge and get into the cold tub for a few minutes. Hopefully that'll help with some of the pain, the inflammation in my legs right now, and it's going to feel pretty good. I think it's super hot outside, so it should be a nice balance to that. And also with it, because it's so hot out, it's hard for this thing to get super cold, so it's not going to be an overly cold one today, but it should be pretty good. And so spend a few minutes in there, knock out some of the inflammation, and just get to it. And I will also say, that was pretty hard. It's been a while since I've done a whole lot of cold plunges, so that did not feel great. My hands hurt from it actually, so that was something that takes quite a bit of practice. So even if you don't think that you're great at cold plunges or you're afraid of it, just know that you can get better with doing it over time, and it just takes a little bit of courage the first few times, and then once you get past that initial fear, it's not that bad. So that's about it for the day. Hopefully I'll be fired up and ready to go for another run after the cold plunge, and recovery feels good.